Okay, so last Sunday I had the perfect plan. I was going to wake up early, go to the gym, come back, meal prep, and then work on that project I'd been putting off for 3 weeks.
I already know where this is going.
I woke up, looked at the ceiling for 20 minutes, ordered breakfast, and watched TV until noon.
Chris, that is the most human thing you have ever said.
Not my proudest morning, but I know I'm not the only one.
You are absolutely not. Hey everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome back to Daily English Listening Podcast. So happy you're here today.
And I'm Chris, and today we're talking about self-discipline, why it feels so hard, why we keep failing at it even when we genuinely want to do better, and how to actually make it easier without turning into some kind of robot.
No extreme routines. No wake up at 4 a.m. advice.
Please, if I hear that one more time.
Just real, honest conversation about something most of us struggle with every single day. Stick with us. This one's going to feel very familiar.
Possibly too familiar.
Okay, so let's start with the question at the center of all of this. Why is doing something you know you should do so incredibly difficult sometimes?
Like, you need to exercise, you know it's good for you know you'll feel better after, and yet,
And yet, you're on the couch.
on the couch, scrolling, telling yourself you'll start Monday.
Monday is doing so much work in people's lives.
Monday is exhausted from all the fresh starts.
Okay, but seriously, why does this happen? Because it's not laziness. Most people genuinely want to do better.
Right, it's not like people are sitting there thinking, I hope I waste this day.
Nobody thinks that. They just don't do the thing.
So what's actually going on?
Part of it is energy, real physical energy. If you're tired, stressed, overwhelmed, your brain is going to look for the easiest possible option every single time.
And the easiest option is almost never the gym or the report or the difficult conversation.
It's the phone, it's the snack, it's the 15 more minutes in bed that turn into an hour.
Because your brain is genuinely trying to protect you from discomfort.
That's a really important point. The brain isn't broken when it avoids hard things. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do,
Conserve energy, avoid pain, seek comfort.
which worked great for survival thousands of years ago. Less helpful when you're trying to write a report.
Slightly different context, yes.
So the first thing to understand is the resistance you feel is not a character flaw, it's biology.
That takes a lot of pressure off, honestly. Like, you're not weak for not wanting to do hard things.
You're human. The question is what you do with that resistance.
Okay, so before we go further, drop a comment right now. Tell us the one thing you keep putting off that you know you should just do. Could be anything. Going to the gym, studying, calling someone back, cleaning that one corner of your house.
That corner. We all have that corner.
We all have a corner. Tell us yours, because knowing other people have the same thing sitting undone, it helps somehow.
It really does. Okay, so the second big reason self-discipline is hard, distractions.
Oh, the distractions.
We live in a world that is specifically designed to pull your attention away from whatever you're trying to do.
Every app, every notification, every autoplay video, all of it engineered to keep you engaged as long as possible.
So when people say, I just need more willpower, I always want to say, you're fighting a billion-dollar industry with your bare hands.
That's not a fair fight.
Not even close. And willpower, by the way, is not unlimited. Research shows it depletes throughout the day.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the more decisions you make, the more you resist things, the more mental energy you use, the harder it becomes to keep resisting later.
So by the time it's evening and you've been making decisions all day, your willpower tank is basically empty.
Which is why people who were perfectly disciplined all day eat the entire bag of chips at night.
That is so specific and so accurate.
It's called decision fatigue, and it's very real.
Okay, so willpower runs out, distractions are everywhere. What else is working against us?
Boredom and discomfort. A lot of the things we need to do are just not fun.
Shockingly, taxes are not enjoyable.
Shockingly, and the brain has a very short tolerance for boring or uncomfortable things when something more stimulating is one tap away.
So you open your laptop to work, and 30 seconds later, you're on YouTube watching something completely unrelated.
Because your brain is genuinely trying to protect you from discomfort.
And then the more you do that, open the laptop, get distracted, feel guilty, close the laptop, the more you associate that task with frustration.
Which makes it even harder to start next time.
It's a cycle, a very annoying cycle.
And then there's the wanting results fast problem.
Oh, this one is huge.
We live in a world where everything is instant. Food delivered in 20 minutes, information in 2 seconds, entertainment on demand.
And then someone tells you, just be consistent for 6 months and you'll see results. 6 months feels like forever when you're used to everything being immediate.
So people start, don't see results fast enough, and quit.
Before the compound effect even has a chance to kick in.
Compound effect, when small, consistent actions build on each other over time and eventually produce results that seem disproportionately large.
You don't see it happening day by day, but 3 months in, you look back and realize how far you've come.
The problem is, most people quit before they get to the 3-month mark.
Because the early phase is the hardest. You're putting in effort and not seeing much yet.
It's like pushing a heavy object. The hardest part is getting it moving. Once it's moving, it gets easier.
Momentum. Once you have it, keeping it going takes much less effort than starting from zero.
Which is why starting is always the hardest part. Okay, so we've talked about why it's hard. Now let's talk about what actually helps. And I want to be clear up front, we're not talking about becoming a different person.
Thank you, because every productivity influencer out there is like, just completely reinvent your identity.
New year, new you, new morning routine, new everything.
It's exhausting just watching those videos.
The real shift is much smaller. It's not about forcing yourself to be stronger. It's about making the right thing easier to do.
Reducing friction.
Reducing friction, yes. Friction is anything that makes a task harder to start. And the less friction between you and the thing you need to do, the more likely you are to actually do it.
Give me an example.
Okay, if you want to exercise in the morning, put your gym clothes out the night before. Right there, visible, ready.
So when you wake up, the decision is already made.
The decision is already made. You don't have to think about it. The clothes are there, you just put them on.
That sounds almost too simple.
That's the point. Simple works, complicated doesn't.
Because complicated requires energy you might not have at 7 in the morning.
Exactly. Another example, if you want to study more, close all your other browser tabs before you finish work. So when you come back to study, there's nothing else open competing for your attention.
Remove the temptation before you need the willpower.
Before you need the willpower. Because once you're in the moment, it's too late. The temptation is right there and your tank might already be low.
This is such a different way of thinking about it. It's not be stronger, it's make it easier.
Design your environment to support what you're trying to do instead of fight against it.
Okay, I have to be honest. I tried this with my phone once. Deleted the most distracting apps, put my phone in a drawer when I was working.
And?
It worked, like annoyingly well. I got so much done that first week.
Annoyingly well is the best outcome.
I was a little upset about how much time I had been wasting before that.
That's the moment of clarity that nobody warns you about.
A little painful, but useful.
Okay, another thing that genuinely helps, starting ridiculously small.
How small are we talking?
Embarrassingly small. Like, if you want to start exercising, don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to 5 minutes.
5 minutes feels pointless, though.
It feels pointless, but here's what actually happens. Most of the time, once you start, you keep going, because starting was the hard part.
The 5 minutes becomes 20 or 30.
Often. Not always, but often. And on the days it doesn't, you still did 5 minutes, which is 5 minutes more than 0.
And you didn't break the streak.
The streak matters more than most people realize. There's something about not wanting to break a pattern that keeps you going even on low energy days.
I use a habit tracker app for this. Just checking the box gives me a weirdly strong sense of satisfaction.
The dopamine of the checkmark.
Do not underestimate the dopamine of the checkmark.
It's real, and that's actually the point. You're building a small reward system for your brain. Every time you do the thing and check the box, your brain gets a tiny hit of satisfaction.
And slowly it starts associating the task with that feeling instead of with dread.
instead of dread. That's the retraining.
Okay, what about routines? Because I know that's a big one.
Routines are powerful specifically because they remove the need to decide.
Every decision costs energy. So if brushing your teeth is automatic, you don't think about it, you just do it, that costs nothing.
Right, and the goal with self-discipline is to make more things automatic, not through willpower, but through repetition.
Do it enough times and it stops being a battle.
It becomes default, and default is sustainable.
Whereas forcing yourself every single day is not.
Nobody can force themselves indefinitely. Something breaks eventually.
Which is why the sustainable version always wins over the extreme version in the long run.
Always. The person who exercises 3 times a week, every week for a year, will always be in better shape than the person who goes every day for a month and then burns out.
Consistency beats intensity.
Every time. That's not motivational poster stuff, that's just math.
Discipline as math. I can work with that.
Okay, I want to talk about something that doesn't get mentioned enough in these conversations, the emotional side of self-discipline.
Oh, this is important.
Because a lot of people assume that if you're struggling with discipline, it means you're not motivated enough or not serious enough,
And that leads to guilt, and guilt leads to more avoidance.
which leads to more guilt. It's such a destructive loop.
I know that loop personally, very personally.
We all do. But the truth is, sometimes you're struggling with discipline because you're carrying too much. You're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you have things going on emotionally that are draining your energy.
And when you're in that state, asking yourself to also be perfectly disciplined is asking too much.
It's stacking demands on an already full system.
So what do you do in those moments?
You lower the bar, temporarily, not permanently.
Lower the bar, meaning reduce your expectations for that period.
Right. If your normal standard is 30 minutes of exercise and you're going through something hard, 10 minutes is fine. Something is always better than nothing.
And maintaining some version of the habit, even a smaller version, means you don't have to rebuild from zero when things get better.
Which is so much easier than starting over completely.
I think there's also this idea that discipline requires a perfect environment. Like, I'll be disciplined when my life is more organized, when I have more time, when things calm down.
When things calm down, that magical future moment.
Spoiler, things don't calm down.
Life doesn't pause to give you ideal conditions. Discipline is built in the messy middle, not in perfect circumstances.
So the people who are consistent aren't consistent because their lives are easier.
They're consistent because they've stopped waiting for perfect and started working with what they have.
That's a big shift from I'll do it when conditions are right to I'll do what I can with what I have right now.
And what I can right now might be 5 minutes, might be 10, might be a lot less than your ideal.
But it's something.
It's something, and something compounds.
Okay, wild card thought, because I've been sitting on this one.
Go ahead.
What if some of the things we're trying to discipline ourselves into aren't actually things we want? Like, what if you've been trying to wake up early for 2 years and it just never sticks?
Keep going.
Maybe the problem isn't your discipline. Maybe you're just not a morning person and never will be. And instead of fighting your biology, you could find a schedule that actually works for you.
That is such an important point, because there's a version of self-discipline that's actually just self-punishment disguised as productivity.
I should be doing this versus I actually want to do this.
And the should ones are always the hardest to sustain, because you're fighting yourself the whole time.
Versus something you genuinely want, even when it's difficult, you'll push through because the reason is real.
So part of building better discipline is actually being honest about what you really want.
Not what you think you should want, not what looks impressive, what actually matters to you.
Because discipline in the direction of something meaningful feels completely different than discipline in the direction of someone else's idea of success.
One feels like you're building something, the other feels like punishment, and you can sustain building, you can't sustain punishment indefinitely.
That distinction might save some people a lot of frustration.
I hope so, because I wasted a lot of mornings trying to be a person I'm not.
The phantom morning routine.
Haunted by the ghost of the productive person I thought I should be.
Okay, let's bring this home, because I think the central idea of this whole conversation is actually pretty simple.
Simple, but not easy.
Right. Self-discipline is not about having infinite willpower or being a certain type of person. It's about making it slightly easier to do the right thing than to do the wrong thing.
Lower the friction, start small, build momentum, repeat.
And be kind to yourself when you miss a day, because you will miss days.
Missing one day doesn't break the habit. Missing 30 in a row does.
So the goal after a bad day is just get back on track tomorrow, not next Monday, tomorrow.
Not next month, not I'll restart in January, tomorrow.
One bad day is a detour. It's only a derailment if you let it become a pattern.
And you get to decide that every single day.
That's actually the quiet power in all of this. Every day is a new chance to choose the slightly better option.
Not the perfect option.
Never the perfect option, just slightly better than yesterday.
Slightly better, consistently, over a long time.
That's it. That's literally all self-discipline is when you strip away all the noise.
When you put it that way, it almost sounds manageable.
Almost.
Almost, which is honestly the most honest thing we can say.
All right, before we go, let's spend some time with the key words and expressions from today, because there are some really useful ones in this conversation.
Starting with self-discipline, the ability to make yourself do things you need to do even when you don't feel like it. Not punishment, not perfection, just consistent action. She has strong self-discipline, means she follows through on hard days. I'm working on my self-discipline, means you're building that muscle. Very natural in everyday English.
Then willpower, the mental strength to resist temptation or push through difficulty. The key thing we talked about today is that willpower is limited. It depletes. I ran out of willpower by the end of the day. Don't rely on willpower alone. It's a finite resource, not a personality trait.
Okay, decision fatigue. When making too many decisions throughout the day reduces your ability to make good ones later. By evening, I was experiencing decision fatigue. You hear this a lot in conversations about productivity and mental health. It explains why smart people make bad choices when they're tired.
Friction. In this context, anything that makes a task harder to start. Not physical friction, psychological friction. Reduce the friction between you and your goal. There's too much friction in this process. Very common in modern productivity language, and you'll hear it in business context too.
Compound effect, when small, consistent actions build on each other over time to produce results much larger than any single action could. The compound effect of daily practice. Trust the compound effect. It's often used in finance, compound interest, but native speakers use it for habits, skills, relationships, anything that grows over time.
Momentum, the energy or forward movement that builds as you keep going. Hard to start, easier to maintain. Once I have momentum, it's hard to stop. I lost my momentum after the break. Very common in sports language, but used constantly in everyday English for habits and projects.
Procrastination, delaying or avoiding a task even when you know you should do it. I've been procrastinating on this for weeks. Stop procrastinating. Everyone knows this word, but it's worth noting that in English, you procrastinate on something, not about something. I keep procrastinating on that project.
Consistency. Doing something regularly over time, not just occasionally. Consistency is more important than intensity. She's not perfect, but she's consistent. This word comes up constantly in fitness, language learning, work, anywhere results come from repeated effort over time.
Sustainable, something you can actually maintain over the long term without burning out. Is this routine sustainable? I need a sustainable approach. The opposite of sustainable is something extreme that works for a short period and then collapses.
Accountability. Being responsible for your actions, often to someone else or to yourself. I need an accountability partner. Hold yourself accountable. When you're accountable, you answer for what you did or didn't do. Very useful word in professional and personal development contexts.
And streak is a continuous period of doing something without breaking the habit. I have a 30-day streak. I don't want to break my streak. Originally from sports, a winning streak, but now used constantly for habits, apps, daily goals. The psychological power of not wanting to break a streak is real, and native speakers reference it all the time.
These words will come up every time you talk about habits, productivity, or personal growth in English, which honestly is pretty often.
And speaking of growth, if today's episode got you thinking about what you're actually chasing and whether it's really what you want, there's an episode right below this one that connects directly to that question.
It's about not losing yourself while chasing success, which is exactly where self-discipline conversations go when you take them one step further. Go find it.
See you there.